Not only is this the celebration month of the heart, this is also the celebration and the remembrance of Black History Month. And so we will be weaving that, yes, we will be weaving that in and out through the month. And one of the great Southern heroes, Black heroes born in Jacksonville, Florida. Today I'm going to put Dr. Haw. Well, he never finished a PhD, which was interesting, but he was a professor. He was brilliant, and I'm going to incorporate some of his work today because I love Dr. There I go again with Howard Thurman. I got to visit many of the places that he had walked at Morehouse College when I was up there. So anyway, again, welcome home. It's good to be here. I'm proud of all of you who got out. And so we start with a little joke. Are you open? Yeah. All right. So this took place far in the country, and they had all kinds of dogs and animals. But this one stray dog kept showing up. Mangy, dirty, and it was Bubba's place. Of course it was Bubba's place. And of course his wife. But his wife just had enough of this dog. So she finally said to him, Bubba, take that dog, drive it a mile away, let it out, and let someone else be responsible. So Bubba hesitated, but he did. And of course, what happened was the dog beat him home. So the next week, she said, on Saturday, she said, Bubba, this dog cannot stay here. It's full of fleas, blah, blah, blah. So she said, this time, I want you to take it far away, far into the woods, where he'll find, she said, he belongs in the woods. That's where he came from. So Bubba went out, and he crisscrossed around town and into the country, and he drove miles and miles, let the dog out. And pretty soon, about an hour later, his wife got a call, and she said, Bubba, what is it? He sounded panicked. And he said, is the dog home? And she looked out, she said, yes, he's coming up the driveway. He said, take the phone out, put him on the phone, and tell him I need directions home. So, the month of the heart, every month certainly is a month of the heart, but this month, Valentine's Day, and we get to see hearts everywhere. Maybe by the time the 13th of February comes, we're tired of seeing hearts. Oh my goodness, I've gotten the candy. But sometimes it can be an outward journey. And what Howard Thurman always said, it's an inward journey. And that's what unity teaches. The first two principles of unity is God the good, is all there is. One life in this universe. We can call it, in fact, Reverend Michael Beckwith called it the love intelligence that governs this universe. And I really love that because everything this universe has been made of is love. Not the world, but God's universe is so magnificent. And it's always in divine order, on time and in time. The sun always goes up somewhere. We may not see it. It may be a cloud, but it is on time as the moon. So it is a perfect universe because whatever you want to call God, the grand operational design, spirit, whatever the name is, there is a power for good in this universe. And it is here not only for us to use it, but for us to, not only for the universe, not only for us to use the universe, but for the universe to use us. And that was such a surprise to me. I always thought you spoke to some God outside of yourself that looked like Santa Claus. And truly, that's how I was raised. And you asked this God that looked like Santa Claus for this and for that, and we begged and we pleaded and we got on our knees, we went to confession, whatever it took. But God was to give us something. And then when I started at Centers for Spiritual Living, which was religious science. What the message I got is we are here to give to the universe. That's what life has destined for each and every one of us. We didn't come to just be helter-skelter and be begging for this and a new car. I need a new car, and I need this, and I need that. We came to say, how can I serve? How can I serve love today? What is my purpose in living today? And when we start to live from that awareness, Jesus taught love and he taught law. And we are practical Christianity in unity. And we follow the teachings of Jesus. Not only do we follow the teachings of Jesus, but we are to act from the teachings of Jesus, to be peace, just like Christmas, peace on earth, goodwill to all men and women. What difference will we make today? And so every time we get a beautiful reminder this month, not that we shouldn't have it every month, but especially every time we see a Valentine. We're going to see them everywhere. We see hearts everywhere right now. How will that heart remind me of my heart, right? What does my heart need to do to be open today? Where is my heart being frozen or frozen out? Someone frozen out. Or we're withholding. So this is the greatest teaching tool month we could possibly have, especially these first 2 weeks where hearts are everywhere. And instead of thinking, I need to buy candy, I need to do this, and who's going to send me candy, and who's going to send, we're going to start to say, am I remembering? Am I remembering? Is my heart open today? Is my heart opened in this month, at this moment? And not to close, no matter what is said to me, no matter what the news says. Hopefully we're not watching much of that. But my job is to stay open in my heart. So I'd like to read something that John Rogers, who is an author of many books, he said something wonderful. He said, stay in the loving. If nothing else, we are here to stay in the living. Living and loving. I've got my words kind of mixed up today, so just translate in your own mind as I go along, whatever works. But we are here to be in the loving. We are the lovers. We always think, well, Jesus was the lover, which he was. Gandhi, we can go to Buddha, they were all lovers. But our job is not to say, oh, they were lovers, but to say, I joined those ranks this month more than I ever had before. I have become the lover of everything and everybody. I refuse negativity this month. I stay in my heart and I examine my heart. Where is it closed? And to whom is it closed? Charles Fillmore has a beautiful quote, and Charles Fillmore was the co-founder of Unity. He said, love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uttermost in itself in all things. So the more we practice loving, the more it appears in our life, and the more our family or friends may say, I've noticed something different about you. Because people can see it when they're loved. They see it in other people's lives. So St. Paul said in 1 Corinthians, he said, so here lie faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is always what? Love, thank you. And another thing he says, which I always do in my marriage ceremony, part of 1 Corinthians, he said, and love does not keep grudges. Love does not hold grudges. So where are our grudges? And isn't it fun to remember what someone did, especially a husband and wife in 1999, and continue to remind him or her, But life moves on. Life isn't in the past. It is in this present moment. How well am I loving right here and right now? Jesus was the greatest lover of all, and he was totally connected. It is the Father and I, he said, who doeth the work. So what Jesus said is what I do, you can do. So the Father within you, however you want to describe it, the spark of God, all that is good and holy, and we attribute to God is all within us. How much will we access this month? And it's got to come from the heart. The mind is going to judge you every single time. It's going to judge you. It's going to be critical. It's going to say, you can't love that person. Don't you remember what they've done? And it will judge and it will criticize us to death. That's the mind. Our minds are to think problems through. Our minds are to solve things. Our minds, the mind is not to judge. The mind can discern, but it is not to judge. And it is sometimes not only the judge, it's the jury, right? How many people have we sent to the electric chair in our life? So the question is not, am I loved? The question is, am I allowing love to move through me? And how much love am I going to allow to flow through me? And you know what? Anytime we issue a challenge like that to ourselves, baby, hold the door, because I'll tell you what, the universe will put everything. Okay, can you love in this condition? Can you love this person after they just made that critical remark of you? And just remember, I am more than this. I am more than this. I am here for meaning and purpose. I am a lover of life. Remember that. My job here is to love others, to love myself. The first greatest commandment, what is it? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and love thy neighbor as myself. But how can we love our neighbor if we're not loving ourselves? And if we're not loving ourselves, we can talk till next February. We're not loving God, because God is who we are, that essence of who we are. And if I'm not loving myself or my neighbor, I can't say, oh, I have this great love of God, and wait till you meet my neighbor. It just doesn't work. Or I have this great love of God, but you know, I haven't done a good job with my life, so I think I'll just criticize myself for the next 48 hours. It doesn't work that way. If we truly follow the first commandment, we love God, we love our neighbors, and you know what? If someone does something to us, we don't have to go ahead and say, respond or anything else. We don't have to react to the behavior. We can love the person. We don't have to be with the person. But we can't stop loving, because when we stop loving, something comes up within us, a wall. Those ice cubes start to form around the heart. So a couple of things, 3 things that I'd like to mention today. Number 1, what if we asked ourselves this week, what would love do here in this situation? What would love do here? You know, many years ago, 30, 35 years ago, the University of Michigan did a survey with their seniors. And they asked the seniors, maybe it was the seniors in psychology, I don't know, but they asked them to list the most important thing in a relationship, what they wanted. And they were shocked what came back, because the answer that came back, they want to be heard. They want to be heard. They don't want just someone to hear them, really. They want to be listened to. They want to be heard. They want to understand. Hearing is a passive act. This is the dictionary of perceiving sound and listening. Hearing is a passive act of perceiving sound. Listening is an active intention to understand and interpret sound. Listening requires effort and focus and engagement, making it a crucial skill for effective communication. So yesterday, about 4 o'clock, my grandson and his girlfriend came over, and they've been together for about a year. They're both almost 22. And so they knew I was writing. I asked about the sermon. And I said, without saying anything about anything else, I said, tell me, what is the most important thing in your relationship? And you know what the answer was? Someone to listen to me. He listens to me. She listens to me. And you know what Alex said? That's one of my almost 22-year-old grandsons. He said, Nana, not only does she listen to me, but she can repeat back to me what I said the next day. So that is listening. It's not just hearing, it's listening. And you know how the universe always gives me exactly what I need to hear. I have a friend in Bakersfield who is much older now. Much older, we're talking about much older. That's a joke. Anyway, God calling. So anyway, she's lovely, she's lucid, she's a good bridge player, but sometimes she gets caught. Well, she called, and I knew I was going to listen to her. But what she was talking about is stubbing her big toe. So I thought, how long can this go on? How she came in the house, she tripped on the rug, but it was her big toe that really got caught on the rug, and then she fell, and her big toe, well, it went on, and I thought, all right, if I'm going to give this sermon, I'm going to listen to her attentively when I really wanted to be writing a sermon or reading a book. So I listened as she went through, and she was heard, and she left. When we got off the phone, I know she felt better because her whole tone changed. When someone really listens to us, that means we give them our attention. We listen. Jesus listened. All of the great avatars and saints, they listened, whether they were listening to a message from within, and how often does that intuition come up, that message? Are we really listening to it? Or do we barely hear it and say, come back another day, I'm not ready for this? If the intuition comes up, we're ready. And if that intuition comes up, then we listen to it, because that is God working through us. That is the heart talking. The mind doesn't go through intuition. The heart goes through intuition, because more and more the studies go that the heart is absolutely more important than the mind. You do know that. And there is an interconnection between the heart and the mind. People thought the heart was just to keep us alive by beating. It is to keep us alive, but by so much more, because when we shut down that heart, something goes away. We're not just here as a blessing to the universe. We're here to just occupy space. We don't want that, do we? No, this is active. We are active players in this game called life. So what would love do here? One of the things is we're going to listen this week. No matter if someone's talking about their big toe, whether someone has a real issue, we're going to give them the absolute blessing of listening. Here's another one. What would love say here? Interesting, huh? Would love react and say, you're wrong on this, all the things we can react to? Or will love respond? And you know how the best way to respond? Jesus showed us that very clearly, because so often before he performed a miracle or did whatever it was he was called to do, he first prayed. He first asked God for guidance and help. So what do we do when we get that phone call? What kind of guidance or help do we need? Because it's easy, so easy to bite somebody. And words are more powerful than blessings. You know that, than voice. Words are more. Someone can be beaten up as a child. They will get over that faster than if they're verbally abused. That stays with them. Those words cut to the heart, right through, and people carry that. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. And when we get to the bottom of it, we say, where did this come from? Well, that's what I was told all my life. I'd never succeed. I'd never get through college. All of that. We don't want that. We want to be a responder to other people. Respond with loving kindness. And you know what I do? And I did it this week with something which was annoying. But when the call came, I said a prayer. Dear Lord, speak through me. And then the conversation changes totally. And you know what? I may say the same words that I was going to say, not in the same tone of voice, but if that conversation is anchored in God, each person will hear exactly what they need to hear. and that's the truth. When God is on the field, all else is off the field because love is on that field. Rumi called it the field of all, no right, no wrong, just the field of possibilities. So don't react this week. See how often you can respond and respond lovingly. So someone gets off the phone and say, gee, I feel great. Not sure what they said, but I feel great because God is doing the work through us. Does that make sense? So that's a chore for us, or a challenge for us this week. And what would love do here? Well, what would love do here? Think about it in your own life. What would love do here? You know, there's a story of Mary and Martha in the Gospel of Luke. And Jesus was over there. They were dear friends. And Jesus was over there. And Mary sat at his feet because Mary wanted to observe, to hear everything Jesus was saying. Jesus was her teacher. He was her, what they called Rabboni at the time. He was her rabbi. He was the teacher of truth. She sat there just absorbing. And what was Martha doing? She was out fussing in the kitchen, cooking, probably banging pans. And finally Jesus said, Martha, Martha, that's not important. Come, be with me. Sit with Mary. That's what's important. Listen. So love can be so busy. Well, I'll just answer this text, this email, make this phone call. And in the meantime, we have the opportunity to read books of unity, to read our daily word, to sit 5 minutes. If we sit 5 minutes a day in meditation this week, I guarantee you'll have a change. You'll feel it. Others will feel it. So what would love do here? You know, there is Megan said, tell one less story, but oh, Megan, I can't. So there is a story, an ancient Egyptian custom, and it may be just a fable, I don't know. But when people died in ancient Egypt, how they measured their life and whether they got to go on to another life was they took a set of scales and they placed the heart of the person on this one side of the scale, and they placed a feather on the other side. And what it was if your heart was as light as the feather, you were able to move on to the next lifetime. So imagine how light our hearts have to be, right? And how can they be light? Give me just, shout out a word. How can our hearts be light? Forgiveness. Absolutely forgiveness. And who is the first person we have to forgive? Ourselves. And that's the tough one, isn't it? Oh, I've forgiven her, or I've forgiven them. And in the meantime, our own hearts are breaking because we're so critical of ourselves. So what would love do here? And you know something else. Remember, you're not looking at the person's behavior. You're looking at the person that they are, the self of them. Namaste, the great Hindu saying, the God in me salutes the God in you. Remember that. Remember that the God in me salutes the God. I'm not saluting your behavior right now, but I am saluting the God within you. And therefore, how can I not love you? I may not want to spend a lot of time with you the rest of my life, but I hold you in high esteem and I love you. And there is, remember that unity is practical Christianity. That's why we're here. How will we practice unity this week? So there is a story I would like to read you, and then I want to talk about a special book that's being released and about to publish. This is Howard Thurman. And I had never heard of Howard Thurman. So many people call him Dr. Thurman. He never finished his PhD, but he was a great, great teacher. Not only did he teach Martin Luther King, he taught Martin Luther King Jr. He was the first black dean of any university, and it was Boston College. And Howard Thurman was born in 1899 in segregated Florida. So I just get the chills when I think of this black boy, African American boy, we'd call him now. They called him a lot of different names then. And yet from that and all the criticism he must have gotten, he was able to keep love alive in his heart. And he wrote, and if you've never read it, I'm not selling books here, trust me, Meditations of the Heart. It's one of the most beautiful books, and they're all short essays. It's a marvelous book that he wrote. And so this is what he wrote about being loving in our hearts. And not only was he, and he ended up being very close to Dr. King, through Dr. King's life, and was very active in the black movement, but not in violence. He also studied with Gandhi, as did Martin Luther King Jr. And what they knew from Gandhi, it was peace through not violence. It was peace through strength. The strength of being there and knowing what to do and when to do it. It's not what we see today, not at all. It happened on the Norman Pettus Bridge, we know that, but that was the end of it. Dr. King was bound and determined that it was going to be peaceful. And look at what he accomplished. From where he was as a boy in segregated Florida, and moving himself to be the first dean of a black college, or not black college, he was at Morehouse first at Boston University. We saw that with Dr. King. He was a peacemaker, not a fighter. He fought from the heart, and he changed life. Can you imagine, Dr. King, how wonderful it would have been 46 years later if he would have seen the first African-American president? And that's a very short time, 46 years. So we do study Black History Month, and we celebrate all these marvelous Black teachers that have come before us and have taught us so many things and are continuing to teach us. So this is what Dr. Howard Thurman said. I want to be more loving in my heart. He said, I want to be more loving. Often there are good and sufficient reasons for exercising what seems a direct resentment. Anybody know that? Again and again. I find it hard to hold in check the sharp retort, the biting comeback, when it seems that someone has done violence to my self-respect and decent regard. How natural it seems to give as good as I got, to take nothing lying down, to announce to all and sundry in 1,000 ways, no one can run over me and get away with it. All this is the thicket in which my heart gets caught again and again. Deep within me, though, deep within me, I want to be more loving, to glow with a warmth that will take the chill off the room with which I share those whose comings and goings touch my life in the traffic of my comings and goings. Oh, I want to be more loving. I want to be more loving in my heart. It is often easy to have the idea in mind, the plan to be more loving, to see it with my mind and give assent to the thought of being more loving. But it's crystal clear. But when it's crystal clear, I do not want to. But what I do want is to be more loving in my heart. I must feel like loving. I must ease the tension in my heart that ejects that sharp barb, the stinging word. I want to be more loving in my heart. That with a conscious awareness, and that with unconscious awareness, yet deliberate intent, I shall be a gracious and kind human being. Those who walk with me may find it, thus those who walk with it's tricky how he says it, walks the way with me may find it easier to love, to be gracious because of the love of God, which is increasingly expressed in my living. I want to be more loving in my heart. How about that for this week? I want to be more loving in my heart. I want to ask what would love say here? What would love do here? And what was the other one? You remember? There we go. Were you listening? Was I listening? What would love do here? We're going to listen. We're really going to listen, whether it's someone's big toe or if they've got a huge problem. What would love say here? Love is going to respond. It's not going to react because I know who you are under the facade. And what would love do here? How about this? Love will love this week. Love will love this week. Thank you. But